we're so grateful that you're here with the governor to discuss. We're pleased that there are multiple town officials here today. Town Administrator Phil Gould, thank you very much, sir, for being here. Keith Maxode, the Council President, thank you, Council President, and Chief of Police Brian Sullivan, among other officials. We're truly grateful that Lincoln officials have turned out, as well as members of the public. We're so very grateful. And we are also joined by our host, the Superintendent of Schools, Larry Filippelli, who is kindly going to offer us some opening remarks. So, Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We're delighted to have you all here this evening. I'd also like to recognize one of our school committee members, Marion Roll, is in attendance tonight, and Councilperson Azar as well joining us. And so welcome to Lincoln High School, welcome to the Lincoln School Department. You're sitting in a brand new renovated building, which we're very proud of, and very much appreciate everyone being here. Thank you, Governor McKee, he was here, and Lieutenant Governor Matos was also here for our ribbon cutting. So we thank you for coming back to Lincoln, and we're very happy to host you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Well, it's nice to be close to home, across the river there, right, Marion? So, yeah, and it's good to be here in Lincoln. So we're going around the state and sharing this draft of a vision for the state of Rhode Island. And each place we go, you know, you bring in a handful of people in multiple communities, and all of a sudden you have, you know, hundreds of people that are participating in the effort. And we encourage people to go to ri2030.com to take a look, and then there's a way that you can enter in your own thoughts on right on that site that we're taking into consideration as we finalize like the first edition of Rhode Island 2030, right? So, and then that first edition will roll into a second edition in a year or two, or at that type of thing as things change. So it's great to be here at the high school. It is a gem for the people of the town of Lincoln, and I'm happy to be here with the, you know, cabinet members. And that's the other opportunity that you have here today is, as I have had over the last 8+ months, is I've been able to meet the people who are running our different departments in the state. And what a great opportunity to be out here with so many really strong, you know, leaders that make a difference day to day in our state, and you get a chance to interact with them too. So please do that as we break out into small work sessions. So it is a point in time right now that is a reset point for us in the state, right? We have this great opportunity coming, working our way hopefully through the COVID. Hopefully this next variant is no more difficult than the Delta was for us, and we keep on moving forward in a way that we have. But the people in the state of Rhode Island have really responded in a way that has been dramatic. So I think we're about 94% of the adults in the state of Rhode Island actually have one shot in the arm, which is a national leader. We're second in the country in terms of the population that's total vaccinated, and we've got adults that are about 85% that have at least one shot, 2 shots in the arm, fully vaccinated, and we encourage everybody to get the booster. But what's that done for us in terms of the economy? That has put us in a spot where Rhode Island is recovering faster than every single state in the country. I think we're second in the country in recovering our economy. That puts us in a spot right now to start really projecting ourselves over the next decade, and on multiple areas as will be outlined for you tonight. But we know that it's important areas that we need to discuss. This is a great opportunity to do it, so thank you for hosting us here in Lincoln, and please take advantage of saying hello to the different members of our cabinet, my cabinet, that is doing the work here today, and bring it right out here to Lincoln, and you don't have to go see them at the State House, right? So with that, I'd like to just hand it over to our Lieutenant Governor, Sabina Matos. And as Sabina has been around the state with me, we were in Wesley last night, and here we're in Lincoln tonight, really plugging along to make sure that we're accessible and we're available to people in the state of Rhode Island, and Sabina's done a great job on that. Sabina?
Thank you, Governor. Good evening, and as you know, I'm a little bit shorter, so. Thank you, Governor. As the Governor said, we want to hear from you. We have been working on developing a working document, which is available online for you to read. If you have not seen it, the document is available at ri2030.com. What we're trying to do is to develop this working document in which we hear from each of you. We had already 13 conversations via Zoom in doing it electronically. But we understand that for many individuals, that's not the way how you would like to communicate. You prefer to meet in person, give us your feedback one-on-one. But you can also do that if you don't feel comfortable still doing that tonight here by going in this document that you got from us. If you scan this barcode, that's gonna take you to the website. It's gonna take you to the actual document if you have not read the document yet. And also it's gonna take you to a form that you can fill out online to give us feedback also. We really wanna hear from you. In the 13 conversations that we had, we have some national experts that came. We had over 50 local stakeholders that participated. And we were able to develop this working document. And we have to thank the URI Research Foundation and the Economic Department Chair, Leanne Malloy, who's also here with us tonight. They were the one that put all the information together from the 13 conversations that we had. But we said we're not done. We need to hear from as many Rhode Islanders as possible. What is the vision that you have for the state of Rhode Island in 2030? And we have to remember, we're thinking about all the ARPA funding, but beyond the ARPA funding, what else can we do to make sure that the state of Rhode Island is strong? And Governor McKee identified from the CARE Act, he was able to identify funding to address the homeless challenges that is present right now. So we're addressing that. Today, he just made an announcement. He was able to identify also from the CARES Act additional funding to help our nonprofit organizations that were active all these 18 plus months, helping our community and bringing resources to the community. So that is available right now, a grant opportunity through the Rhode Island Foundation. So all of the nonprofit organizations around here in the Lincoln community can go to the website of the Rhode Island Foundation also and be sure that you apply for those resources. So what we want to do is to hear from you, want to hear your feedback. What are the things that we include in the plan that you think maybe we should expand? What is missing? Give us your feedback. We want to hear from you. And I neglected to mention at the beginning, we do have a Spanish translation in these meetings. If anyone needs a Spanish translation, it's always available. No mencioné al principio que tenemos traducción al español. Si hay alguien que necesite traducción al español, están siempre disponibles en estas reuniones. So with that, I'm just going to turn the meeting over to the Secretary of Commerce, Stephen Pryor, who him and I spent a long day together on Saturday, but we went from Westerly to Woonsocket. Well, Secretary.
Every day is a small business day in the McKee-Matos administration, but we paid special attention on Small Business Saturday. And Lieutenant Governor, thank you for driving us forward on that and emphasizing the governor's priority. So today is about hearing from you, members of the public here in Lincoln. And what we want to do is make sure you have direct access per the governor's directive with cabinet officials who are here, and we have a number of them. So we're going to find a way to break out in the course of the evening in different spots in the room where you can interact directly with McKee administration officials, and we're going to talk about issues, and then we're going to come back together. Because it's a modestly sized group, we'll probably spend 15, 20 minutes having individual conversations around topics, then we'll come back together. So I'm going to explain that in greater detail now, and in order to give us a launch into that process, we're going to hear directly from McKee administration officials about some of these subject areas, so that whether you've read the report or not, the draft report, you can get a little bit more insight as to what we heard already through the digital sessions that the Lieutenant Governor referred to, and the kinds of recommendations that are already emerging in the draft report. So on the screen, you see all of the topic areas displayed, 10 topic areas, ranging from small business up the upper left, to government itself in the bottom right, government services. Most major topics that we heard about and that URI helped us compile into this report, thank you, Chair Malloy, most of them are represented. But we also know that there are new issues that you may want to raise, and there's room for that too, for sure, tonight as always. So let's go to the next slide if we can. So I'm going to illustrate one of these for us, and then we're going to hear from other McKee Matos administration officials. So this is housing. We've heard a lot about the importance of focusing upon housing, inclusive of improving affordability across income levels and across price points all over our state. We've heard a lot about housing. So this is one of the topic areas that we'll be talking about tonight. The goal, which you see represented at the bottom, is that by the next decade, 2030 and beyond, by the next decade, Rhode Island will have a growing and ever-improving housing stock that is affordable and accessible and meets the needs of all Rhode Islanders. And then all of the report areas contain the what we heard from you section. In this case, housing affordability is a statewide challenge across all income, racial, and age groups, especially for low and moderate income households. And it goes on to say, housing supply has consistently fallen short of demand. I should note everywhere, all across our state, we're finding that there's not enough supply for people who are searching for purchases or upgrades or rental housing stock in that, for that matter. So we recommend investments in those areas in the recommendations section. So that gives you a feel for the kinds of things that we're doing in each of these sections in the report, and what you're going to hear as a pattern from other cabinet officials this evening. As the Lieutenant Governor accurately represented, on this sheet that you received when you came in, there's a QR code. You can click on it and look at the whole report on your phone if you like while you're here. You can even send us an electronic comment while you're here, or you can certainly do so after the session and focus on the discussion at hand. So thank you for being with us. And now I have the pleasure of introducing, for discussion of workforce development and post-secondary education, the Commissioner of Higher Education for our state, Commissioner Gilkey.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Governor, Lieutenant Governor. My name is Shannon Gilkey. I'm the Commissioner for Post-Secondary Education and representing K-12, post-secondary, and workforce tonight in the small breakout group. I did just start my career as a K-12 high school CTE teacher many years ago, and the gray hair is starting to prove how many of those have been, according to my children. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the post-secondary system and why I believe it's really important, this alignment between K-12 post-secondary workforce. We know, based on economists on Rhode Island data, that by 2030, 72% of jobs will require some form of post-secondary experience. Now that might not be the post-secondary higher education experience that I went to. It might mean an apprenticeship. It might mean some type of aligned workforce training program. But we know that if those roads for every Rhode Islander lead to a post-secondary credential, we can put more people in the middle class or greater and raise a family income and also have good jobs for folks. So what we heard from you and the goal that we have set is that by 2025, 70% of Rhode Islanders would have some post-secondary experience that would really lay that foundation for where we need to be by 2030 and then beyond, because I think Lieutenant Governor said it beautifully, is that we're trying to make steps with this once-in-a-generation resources now in this moment, but we really want to set Rhode Island up to be successful beyond 2030. So what we heard from you is that we need to dramatically increase the number of Rhode Islanders that have some form of a post-secondary experience, that we need to invest in a longitudinal data system that connects workforce, K-12, higher education, health, so we can make accurate analysis and evaluation and predictions on where we need to go. And then we would invest in meeting people where they are. I was just talking with the governor. We have 52.9% of Rhode Islanders that have some form of a credential right now. If we want to get to 70%, we need to reach out into the communities that we have underserved for so many years and do more. Meet these community members where they are, right here in Lincoln and all of the other 38. And then also we need to make sure that we are aligned to the jobs, the good jobs that are going to be there today and the good jobs that are going to be there tomorrow. So there's some things that came up that we heard from you. I'm going to be in the breakout group talking for your guys' feedback, and I look forward to the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Gilkey. Now, for the small business subject, the Department of Business Regulation Director, Liz Tanner, for whom this is a topic of passion and high professional interest. Liz.
Hello everyone, Liz Tanner. As a former business owner myself, I can tell you it's very hard, right? It's very hard to run any kind of small business, no matter where you are in the country. Now imagine trying to do it in a pandemic, right? It's a whole lot harder. And so while you have many who have survived and thrived, that's great, but you had a lot who have really taken a real hit and continue to take a real hit. So whether it's retail, tourism, hospitality, and particularly childcare, they're really suffering. And so we want to hear what their needs are to get the word out. And then you also have your historically disadvantaged groups that have always had a hard time, right? And so understanding what their particular needs are very important, as well as the things that every business has to deal with, whether it's licensing or regulatory compliance or zoning issues, state, federal, municipal laws and regulations that they're dealing with. It's a lot, right? And so we strive to hear from you what those problems are so we can continue to fix that. You know, we've heard for years what some of the problems were pre-pandemic, but it's a whole new world. So we really need to hear what the new problems are and how to address them. Because it's our goal to make it a whole lot better and easier to do business in the state on an ongoing basis, and we want to bring back the economy really strong. So that's our goal, but we need to hear from you to find out what those problems are. So we look forward to talking to you to learn more. Thanks.
All right, next, health and wellness. See if it gets up there, perfect. Public health and wellness, and we're very pleased to be joined by Director Richard Charest. Thank you, Director.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Richard Charest. I'm the Director of Behavioral Health Care, Developmental Disabilities, and Hospitals, which covers a broad array of services for people needing help on a behavioral health issue, substance use, as well as hospitals. And what we've learned through this crisis, this pandemic crisis, is that not only is there a workforce shortage in industry in general, but it's exacerbated in healthcare industry. And so access to services is limited and creates different challenges for people needing services at a particular moment in time, and the resources aren't there to help them out. And so we're working on that. So the first bullet here, that the pandemic highlighted significant challenges for Rhode Island's healthcare system. Healthcare disparities, so unequal access to care. Behavioral health crisis, I can tell you I live it every day. We're trying to address some of the issues that are in the behavioral health system where components of the system really need to be developed or enhanced to provide the services that our citizens need. Unequal access and solvency of providers to make sure that they can obviously survive to be able to provide the services. It emphasizes primary care, and I will tell you we have as much of a crisis in behavioral health as we do in primary care. So the goal by the next decade is Rhode Island will have a healthcare system that supports affordable and accessible services to maximize good healthcare outcomes for all Rhode Islanders, emphasizing preventative care, addressing the social determinants of health, supporting our healthcare providers and increasing their diversity and eliminating healthcare disparities. Thank you.
Next up, climate change. Brian, when you're ready, perfect. Addressing climate change on the screen, and we're pleased to be joined by the Director of the Office of Energy Resources, Commissioner Nick Ucci. Thanks for coming up, Commissioner.
Well, good evening, everyone. As the parent of two young ones, I have to say, what a beautiful facility. Thank you for hosting us. So I get to talk about climate change, and we've heard Rhode Islanders for some time, and I think if you look at the 2030 report, you'll see three major themes. The first is that we need to accelerate our adoption of clean, affordable technologies and other energy solutions. Critical to that is ensuring that we create a 100% renewable electric supply. And that will help us enable the reduction of greenhouse gas and other harmful emissions across the rest of the economy, particularly transportation, and the way we heat our homes and businesses. Second, we need to build more resilient communities. So whether you live in Newport or in Lincoln, the effects of climate change are real, and I think we're all seeing it through rising sea levels and more intense weather patterns. So we need to ensure that communities like Lincoln are armed with the resources and are able to invest in infrastructure that they need to ensure that they're prepared for oncoming climate change. And third, we need to ensure that as we transition to this clean energy economy, that we make it more accessible to all Rhode Islanders, particularly those who have been historically marginalized in low and moderate income populations. And we need to ensure that no one group in Rhode Island shares a disproportionate burden of the costs or the impacts of climate change. So I'm really honored to be here with all of you tonight. Look forward to discussing these topics with you in the breakout group in the corner there. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Commissioner. And last and definitely not least, moving state government into 2030, our great colleague, Director Jim Thorson of the Department of Administration. I want to note that Director Thorson was involved with the 2030 process from its inception all the way through and is a partner in everything we do. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks, everybody, and thank you, Governor and Lieutenant Governor, and guys. You'll see that on my slide, it's blank. And that doesn't mean that I don't have anything to say. It means that none of this happens without the Department of Administration. And what I mean by that is that there are basic functions. It's the basic infrastructure of government that actually gets it done, whether it's budgeting, HR, IT, purchasing, real estate, all of these functions that all these folks need to actually make it happen and modernize government. We have a lot of the tools that we use to try to make that happen, but they're not modern. And we need to invest in our infrastructure, much like the town of Lincoln invested here, for the future, to be able to actualize the dreams that these folks have of making a modern government that works for Rhode Island. So that's what I talk about. And I'll be over here at this table, and I hope you come by and see me. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. We're about to break up into the discussions with cabinet officials. I want to recognize a very important person you may just know who's arrived. That's Mr. Joe Almond, your former town administrator, and now we're grateful is our Senior Deputy Chief of Staff for Governor McKee. Welcome, Joe. And very grateful for his service. So now we are going to break up into these different sections of the room. Directors and other cabinet members, please go ahead and proceed to your sections, if you would, to your spots in the room. And I'm going to read out what they are, members of the public, and you can proceed to have those conversations in those parts of the room. As I indicated, 15 or 20 minutes will be the length of time where we have these separate conversations so you can really talk directly to Governor McKee's point people. And then we'll come back together and see if we missed any points and if there's anything else that you want to say. So topic area 1 is children, families, education, including K-12 education and post-secondary education, plus workforce development. And that's all under Commissioner Gilkey in topic area 1. Commissioner, would you raise your hand? There you go. Right over there for education and workforce development. Topic area 2 for commerce. Ben Mays of our commerce team is a senior member of our team, is in the section 2 for economic growth and small business. Thank you very much, Mr. Mays.